There is a topic inside the insurance industry that just is not talked about a lot when it comes to differentiation and standing out from the crowd. That topic is personal branding. And to understand that you don't just represent the agency you work for, but you are your own brand. Today, inside of this episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast, we're going to be diving into a clip of a training that we recently did with our members inside of the Preeminent Producer Podcast on this very topic of personal branding. Stay tuned, get a piece of paper, because there's going to be some thought-provoking statements in here and questions that you can ask yourself to really start to hone down and develop a personal brand that will stand out from the crowd and cause people to think of you as you are positioned as the most trusted advisor. Let's dive in.
Are you a commercial insurance producer struggling to stand out from the competition? Do you find it challenging to grow your book of business and create a fulfilling career? If so, then welcome to the Preeminent Producer Podcast. Each week, we'll be tackling important topics, sharing proven strategies and insights from successful producers that are in the trenches and have traveled the journey to becoming a preeminent producer. You'll discover what it really takes to become preeminent and build your book of business in a way that isn't being taught anywhere else. Our hosts are experts in the field and have built thriving businesses by becoming the most trusted advisor to their clients. Welcome to your journey to becoming a preeminent producer. Let's dive in.
I want to focus on personal branding and talking with the coaches. I don't think this topic is necessarily covered that often inside of the insurance industry. And so we wanted to bring this to you today inside of the Preeminent Producer Program, because I really think this topic is going to serve you well. And you're going to find out, and I think really discover that this is applicable and relevant to every area of your life, whether it's personal or your professional career. This is going to be applicable. But we got to first establish what is personal branding. It's probably a topic that you've heard about, but again, maybe not really been taught about or even put the time in to think about. And so we want to cover that today. But first, let's talk about what it is not. Personal branding is not your logo. It's not your website. It's not your business cards. And it's not even your agency name. Sorry, I'm promoting one more person in. Welcome, Josh. It's not these things. And so far often we hear the word branding and sometimes even personal branding. We think that that's what it is, that it's just this logo and I got to make sure my business cards are perfect. And I got to, all these things. And we spend time on things that sometimes don't matter as much as we think they do. This is not personal branding. We're not talking about corporate branding right now. We're talking about personal branding, you as your brand. That's what we're talking about. So it's important to understand these things, although important, is not your personal brand. Personal branding, this is so important, it is the position you hold in the minds of your clients and prospects. To sum it up the best that I can, and when I came to this realization, I went, wow, what a trip. Because you think about this, is your personal brand is the position that you hold in the minds of your clients and prospects. When something goes wrong inside of their business, disaster, whatever it may be, as you position yourself as most trusted advisor, what position do you hold currently with your prospects as well as clients? Do they think of you as the most trusted advisor? Are you the first person that they call? Do they have you on speed dial? Or have you blended in so much? The company's like, oh, what was that? What was our insurance guy's name again? There's definitely a difference there. And we don't want to be the latter. We want to be the first thing that they think about when something happens, because as the most trusted advisor, I am guiding them, leading them, and making sure I'm taking care of them in a way that's going to position them the best way possible. So ultimately, to sum up personal branding, it is the position you hold in the minds of your customers, clients, prospects, and all of that. Now, this picture here, actually, I guess technically three pictures, I have for a reason. We've got one corporate brand in the upper right-hand corner, which is Apple, right? Then you've got on the left, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And then below that, you've got the cast of Full House. And maybe actually looking at this is probably more of the Fuller House episodes, but which I don't think I've ever watched. But anyway, the reason why I have these three images up, let's start with Apple. Now, although this being a corporate brand, not necessarily a personal brand, Apple holds some sort of real estate in the minds of its users. There's this massive debate, right, of what's better, Apple or Android. And if you get two in the same room, they're going to argue about it, they're going to debate about it, because either you prefer Apple or you prefer Android. There's not a lot of people that are neutral about it. Everyone seems to have an opinion about it. If you go to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which I don't particularly care for him as much as I used to. I think he made some stupid personal brand decisions a few years ago. But at the same point in time, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has a team, and has had a team for probably at least 15 years, if not more, all for his personal brand. So everything that he has done has been strategically done. Whether you agree or disagree with it, doesn't really matter. Everything he posts, everything he stands for or stands against, was done by a deliberate decision. And so going back to, it is the position you hold in the minds of your customers, clients, prospects, and so forth. You may love the guy, you may hate the guy, but he holds some sort of real estate. There's some kind of thought or emotion attached, whether you watched him back in the day when he was in WWE, or maybe it was a movie that you've watched with him in it, or you just really like the whole go hard, grind hard, gym style videos that he posts all the time. At least I think he still does. There's real estate, and his fan base loves him because he has held a position in their minds. Now, Full House, I look at that and go, oh man, that's my childhood right there, right? Who remembers TGIF Friday, where you got to watch Full House and Family Matters and all that kind of stuff. Is that holds a piece of real estate in my mind, and there are emotions tied to those thoughts and those memories. Now, just like with any other situation, now we can start to think about this. If my personal brand is the position that I hold in the minds of those around me, and I can look at something like Full House or whatever, there are emotions tied to those that real estate that these things hold. When you start thinking of it like this, now it even amplifies a little bit more of what kind of real estate, what kind of position am I holding in the minds of people around me? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? Is it neutral? Because neutral is not necessarily a good thing either. And so in a personal brand, you really want, and as The Rock has done, he repels people that do not line up with his values or his style, and he attracts those that do. And that's ultimately what personal branding is. You're going to repel the people that are against that style of brand. That's great, because you don't want to be working with them anyway. But you are going to attract and really appeal to people that line up with your personal brand. So again, you're either blending in or you're standing out. So the secret of personal branding really comes down to this: everything you do and everything you don't do, everything you say and everything you don't say, is all forming an opinion about you in the minds of people around you. Should I read that again? So everything you say and don't say, everything you do and don't do, is all forming an opinion in the minds of those around you. So whether how you talk, how you present yourself, how you dress, what you do, what you don't do, what you stand for, what you don't stand for, how you communicate, how you don't communicate, all of it is forming an opinion of them in the minds of those people around you. Now, this is where we could go on the personal side, and I mean, you can relate this to every aspect of your personal life as well, from marriage and family and all of that. But since we're talking more career and professional part, if you think about this, how you are currently positioning yourself, how you are currently presenting yourself, how you are choosing to communicate, how you are choosing to not communicate, is all forming an opinion inside of your prospects and current clients' minds. And so if you really start to understand this, then you can start looking and seeing potential areas that you might need to tighten up a little bit, that you may, oh, wow, I didn't realize I was expressing myself in this way. I didn't realize that I was positioning myself in this way on accident. And yet maybe it's putting a bad taste in people's mouth. If I'm always, if I never let the client talk, or if I never let the prospect talk, and I'm constantly coming in aggressive and I'm interrupting them all the time, because you're excited about what you're doing, you can see how that could have a negative effect, and it will start forming an opinion of, wow, this person's like really pushy. I don't really like this. So everything you do, whether you like it or not, and everything you don't do, is forming an opinion in the minds of people around you. So quickly, step one, you got to ask yourself, what do I want to be known for? Now, this goes beyond just picking, let's say, a niche, because I know we've talked about, or some people call it a niche, a niche. I can't talk today. A niche. There we go. See, I don't even use that word. A niche. I call it a niche. But people have talked about that, right? Oh, I'm going to pick a niche inside the insurance industry and really target those prospects. Awesome. That's great. But even as a producer, and more importantly, a preeminent producer, what do I really want to be known for? From the people that I work with, whether it's coworkers, whether it's people that work for me or with me, prospects, clients, what do I really want to be known for? And am I properly expressing those things to actually be known for that? It's a bummer if I want to be known for integrity, but you're stealing from the company. I mean, they don't line up, right? So you got to ask yourself in this step here's a series of questions. You can screenshot this. You can quickly write this down. But you can ask yourself, what makes me stand out? What am I currently doing that's causing me to actually stand out from my competition? What are my values? Because that will tie into my personal brand. What value do I bring to the table? What value do I bring to my current clients? Here's a question is, do I lead or do I follow the crowd? And this will also play into what your personal brand is. If you're waiting to kind of conform to everyone around you, you're going to end up blending into everyone around you. Why should anyone listen to me? And this can be, I think, a legit thing going back into mindset again as well, is if I don't feel like I'm the distinguished one, if I don't feel like I'm the preeminent one, what do I have to offer that should cause my prospects and clients to listen to me as being the most trusted advisor? What am I bringing to the table to position myself as someone they should listen to? And then what should I stand for and what should I stand against? This is one of those things where you got to be able to stand for something, whether it's protecting the small business owner, and I'm making this up, or coming against certain things that you don't like in the industry, and that's why you do things a different way. This might not be the most relevant story, but I remember years and years and years ago, I talked to a lady that was on America's Got Talent, and she made it to like the final round, right? I mean, she made it through. She was a singer, and she ended up getting voted off and not winning because she ended up trying to perform a performance and a song that really did not match her style. And for whatever reason, I can't remember now. This is like a decade plus ago. I feel like I asked her, well, in the side of the music industry, what do you stand for and what do you stand against? Because the critique was you don't really know who you are as a musician yet. And she couldn't come up with anything. And sure enough, she has since disappeared and no one's heard of her. She had millions of eyeballs on her, and then she did not really use that correctly. And so it's important to take the time to actually think about these questions. What do I stand for inside of the industry? What do I stand for in my personal beliefs? Because all of that will be expressed inside of your personal brand. So as a preeminent producer, you've got to have a clear and a simple, consistent message of who you are, what you offer, and what makes you unique. Now, that's a lesson in and of itself, but I want to put that in there because it's important to at least start thinking about. When you go to a prospect, and we're talking, let's say, I'm going to go after the BOR, you're going to have a clear, simple, consistent message of what you're bringing to the table. What makes this unique? Why should it be a no-brainer that, hey, they're going to go with you instead of the other guy? Oh, I hate to stop there, but we're going to stop right there. There was so much more we covered in that training, but really it would do yourself good to go back, even listen to that again. Ask yourself the questions that we covered. Revisit the statements of what personal branding really is and let that sink in. And honestly ask yourself, what am I expressing in the things that I do and don't do, in the things that I say and don't say? What can I do? What can I change to really position myself as the most trusted advisor to my prospects, to my clients, in ways that I might not be doing it now? Guys, if you'd like the entire training, as well as getting coached by the coaches, which I know you didn't really hear today, but if you want personal training from them, check us out at thepreeminentproducer.com. We have different programs to choose from where you can get access to deep dive training, tools, material, and personal coaching from the coaches to really accelerate your career as an insurance producer. Guys, until next time, have a good one. Work on that personal brand, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast.
Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to subscribe, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. That helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Preeminent Producer Podcast.